This is MRN Out Loud.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of MRN Out Loud. I'm Woody Cain. We have a very special show for you this week, a twofer. Both winners from Daytona in the Xfinity Series and the Camping World Truck Series will join us as they get set to go back to Daytona and race there on the road course this weekend. Defending Xfinity Series champ Austin Cindric is here, along with Ben Rhodes from ThorSport Racing after he won in the Camping World Truck Series in the season opener. Both drivers next on MRN Out Loud.
Check out MRN.com for a podcast series called The Tough Trucks of NASCAR. 25 years and still trucking. We'll take you back to some great races.
Skinner wins it by 2/100ths of a second.
Some wild moments.
Kyle Busch, he's top shelf digging up top. Bodine spins it.
We just bumped heads, and one of those things that ended up being a rivalry.
And the stories that go with them.
Ron Hornaday Jr. truly is a character.
Download the shows for free on iTunes and at MRN.com.
Austin Cindric joins us now. He drives the number 22 Ford Mustangs for Team Penske, and he started off defense of his Xfinity Series championship with a win at Daytona and ran the Daytona 500. Still a big smile on your face, Austin. What a weekend. Has your head stopped spinning yet?
Well, maybe in more ways than one after that last lap, but no, it's definitely a great way to start the year in Xfinity. Our guys have put a lot of effort over the offseason to bring some fast Ford Mustangs, and you know, I don't think we've been an A+ car at some of these super speedways in the past, and I was actually kind of bummed out when qualifying was rained out because I wanted to showcase the gains because we showed significant improvements in our single car speed and practice, and obviously that showed in the race. You know, we controlled a lot of the race, and we're able to execute there at the end on a green white checkered with a great push from AJ, and start off with a win in our Verizon 5G Ford Mustang.
That car looked really sharp, by the way. That big 5G and the flat black on there looked really nice. And even though you wanted some practice, I know you couldn't have been too disappointed to start up front in that event. But tell me if it went sort of like you expected or if it was completely the other way around. I know almost everybody who raced at Daytona this weekend was in some kind of an overtime finish.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of moments in that race. So, you know, I think for me, heading into that weekend, the mindset surrounding it is that Chase wasn't in the field. You know, Chase Briscoe and I last year worked really well together on the super speedways, being the only two Fords and still really in the last couple of races being able to control the race at some point and find each other. So that was heading into the weekend a new challenge, and working with Riley Herbst and Ryan Sieg. You know, we got together, we talked it out, we tried to establish some sort of trust, and early parts of the race, we were able to work together on restarts and be able to kind of set the groundwork for moving forward. But past that, you know, like I said, we had a lot of speed, and I think that showed. You know, I think that was the most times my spotter keyed up over the radio telling me that people wanted to work with us, and that tells you got a fast race car. It makes your life a lot easier as a driver when you can showcase that speed. So I'm just really proud of that. Proud of my guys. Proud of them continuing to develop. And, you know, proud of my spotter, Coleman Presley. You know, I think that's his first win on a super speedway, and he works harder than anybody else, man. I mean, he's one of those guys, you put in the effort and he'll equal it. So it's been fun to see that. He was so excited. I called him after the race, and I heard his voice crack a few times on the last lap, you know, little voice jumps. And he was telling me that his binoculars kept fogging up the last lap. He was breathing so hard. So, anyway, I was really happy for him. He was probably even happier than I was to win that thing. But yeah, great way to start the year, and hopefully we can keep the momentum going.
And it took a little drama to get there, but you make your first Daytona 500 as well. And you ran well at times, led a little bit, but man, at the end of that thing, you got caught in that last big one. And looking at the slow motion replay, and I can say this now because we know everybody who was in it was okay, but the only thing I could think of was you going through like one of those flame broiler burger things, the way all the fire was around you. And you even tweeted, "Fire is hot." I guess it is.
Man, I mean, I try not to sound smart when I say that, but it's hot. Like, holy cow. Like, I've never experienced something more real and powerful than that kind of a fire. And honestly, we're lucky that it was at the end of the race on low fuel. I mean, Brad only had probably 2-3 laps of fuel left or something like that, at least, given the stints. And that's what all came out of the car and onto the track and onto my car. So I feel very fortunate that the cars are safe, because regardless of the fire, which obviously made it visually spectacular, but that was a big impact. I'd put a lot of money that we were P1 on the data recorder for that one. So I'm feeling a little bit the days after, but I'm fine. Like I said, very, very fortunate in NASCAR and Team Penske build safe race cars, and ready to go again.
Not necessarily the P1 you want, but that leads to my next question. Do you know what other Cup races you're going to attempt yet this year or not? I know things might have still been up in the air a little bit, but do you know which ones you're going to go to yet?
No, I mean, after this weekend, the plan still hasn't changed. The challenge with announcing or getting people excited or trying to speculate on which events we're going to do is that, a lot of the races that we're going to attempt to do that don't have tracks and qualifying, we don't know that we're in them yet until the entry list comes out and what that looks like. So I'm not going to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we've got a short list of places we want to go. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to get, and I think the team's intent as well, so try and get as much experience on as many different tracks as possible between 1.5 mile, short tracks, road courses. I don't see me running another super speedway. So that box is checked. I obviously learned a lot, and we were able to showcase really well and kind of get the ball rolling on this 33 team, because there's a lot of guys. I would say the majority of the team, if not all of the team on the 33 car, they all have other jobs within the race team. So that's obviously a really big load on them. So I was really impressed with how they dealt with that. And I mean, as they should, right? They're the best of the best. It's Team Penske. These guys are the best. So maybe I shouldn't be impressed, but I am. I thought they did a really great job. I thought Miles did a great job on the box all weekend. Unfortunately, a slight miscue on pit road, kind of between the three of us, between me, Miles, and our pit crew. We probably missed an opportunity to be in the top 5 in the closing laps there. So I'm pretty bummed about that, because after you remerge outside of the top 10, I pretty much knew I was 20 laps away from getting wrecked. So that's how those races go, and you just got to move forward and learn from it.
Well, let's talk about something you are familiar with. Back to your regular gig in the Xfinity Series, defending champ, and now you head to the road course at Daytona, where you won last year. Is that something, now that you've kind of gotten the Daytona 500 under your belt and done something you haven't done before, now you're going to a place where it kind of feels like your favorite pair of shoes or something going back on, because you're one of the best road racers in the series and you won there last year? Yeah,
obviously there's a difference between speedway racing and a lot of the other racetracks we go to this year. I mean, you can say there's a comfort level with the road courses for me, but there's new challenges every time. I mean, I felt like the Daytona road course, although we won the race, I was not very satisfied with how we showed up with the car, and try and improve that. So obviously we have a little bit to learn from the Clash and watching that race, but overall I'm excited to see the package that we brought for this weekend, and hopefully it can be stronger than what we had last time. Everyone's going to be stepping up their game. You got to remember, the last time we raced there was no practice or anything. No one had seen that racetrack. So it's definitely a different ball game, I think, heading into this weekend.
Let's wrap up with this. There was something that I heard last week from NASCAR President Steve Phelps, where he talked about some type of electrification is inevitable in NASCAR, and people freak out when they hear that and think, oh my gosh, he said we're going to run go-karts, or rather golf carts, tomorrow. That's not what he said, first of all. But the reason I asked that is because I saw you had a real fun experience with a Ford car that was just something I didn't expect when I looked at the video. Tell the folks about your experience with that electric car, because it's not anything like what people kind of envision when they hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's no secret that Ford's been really getting behind electrifying their street cars and pushing things in that direction on a lot of their vehicles moving forward. So, personally, my Ford courtesy car for the year coming in will be a Mustang Mach-E, because I want to see what it's about. I mean, that's the way things are going. Whether you or I like it or not, I don't know much about it. I'm open-minded to it. I understand the performance advantages to it. So that my experience in Vaughn Gittin Jr.'s RTR Mustang Mach-E 1400 standing for 1400 horsepower was really cool. I mean, it's a perfect showcase of the performance advantages of that type of technology. Obviously, the instantaneous torque and being able to pack more power and into a different space. In a lot of ways, your center of gravity is a lot lower because you can mount batteries on the bottom of the cars, and so it's new and it's exciting, and I think it should be embraced for what it is on the performance side. I can't go into the rest of the details because all I care about is going fast. But if there's ways to use it to go fast, I'm all for it. So it's exciting and new, and I'm excited to see the direction it takes in the sport in the coming years.
And just for comparison, because I think this will surprise some people, roughly how much horsepower does your Xfinity car make?
I mean, I'd say that's double the horsepower of an Xfinity car. So obviously there's some large differences there as far as the size of the vehicle. And they had all this downforce on the car. They had a massive wing, a giant splitter with 5 planes, the tunnels under the car. I mean, he went all out, Vaughn did, on this thing. But obviously it's just to showcase what's possible. But yeah, definitely a step up in power. But I'm all for loud noises too, man. I love me an IC engine. I love me a big grunty V8, so I can get behind that as well. So I think there's performance advantages on all sides. And for me, if I can go faster, let's go faster.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It certainly was. And you can catch those videos online. All the Ford guys had an opportunity to do that, and it's really eye-opening if you haven't seen it yet. Austin, congratulations on a strong start to the season. Good luck this weekend, and keep it up.
Awesome. Thanks, Woody. Appreciate it.
There you go. That's Austin Cindric. He drives the number 22 Ford Mustangs at Team Penske.
The 1993 Cup Series season had more than its fair share of twists and turns.
Rusty Wallace flips 1, 2, 3 times.
Every time the car's hitting and it's wrecking, and you're like, okay, this one here is going to be the one that's going to be lights out. It's going to knock me out.
Here's stories you've never heard before in a 10-part series called The 1993 Season.
Dale Jarrett's got the lead. He goes to the inside. Earnhardt's not going to get him.
I knew if he got to my bumper, what was going to happen.
You can download it for free on iTunes or on MRN.com right now.
Ben Rhodes is with us now. He drives the number 99 Toyota Tundras for Thor Sport Racing, and he won the season opener at Daytona, and he's still got a huge smile on his face after doing all that. But, Ben, before we talk racing, I got to ask you, I saw some pictures from Thor Sport this week, and it looked like the snow was up past the doors. Have you been to the shop, and have they put you to work digging out sidewalks?
So it's funny you say that. I'm on my way up to Thor Sport tonight. I'm flying into Detroit, renting a car, driving through the snow to Thor Sport. It's been planes, trains, automobiles. I'm gonna plug my sponsor, Bombardiers. It's been Learjets, trains, automobiles since the win, man. It's been so crazy. It's been an absolute whirlwind.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have it any other way, I bet. It's just been fantastic, and what a race, huh?
Yeah, so I didn't realize that it was as crazy as it was until afterwards, and I went and watched the replays. Like, that was an insane race. So I knew up front, like, that we had so many lead changes, and it seemed like nobody could keep the lead longer than like a lap. You know, it was just back to back. And I thought that this was one of the most entertaining races in recent history for the Truck Series. I honestly thought that that the trucks were so stable this year with the left side skirt that it just made for some amazing racing. I mean, back and forth, you couldn't hold on to the lead, but then you could make a heck of a run on the outside, getting back again. It was just lots of comers and goers.
And it seems like in past years, the issue has been you could get to somebody, but not necessarily around them. That didn't seem to be the case for you or any of the guys.
No, you can make some crazy runs, and you can make it work well. I mean, Roper caught me off guard going into turn 1 on the last lap. He pulls down right in front of me. I was like, where did you come from? And I thought I had the inside line. I thought I was in the catbird seat. And then sure enough, he gets in front of me. I was upset for like half a second. Then I realized, wait a minute, I'm second at Daytona on the last lap. That's actually not a bad thing. So lost the lead, a little upset, but then it worked out great. I had my teammate behind me, Matt Crafton. He was pushing his Tundra. He's pushing my Bombardier Tundra. We made it to the front, but if it wasn't for him, I don't know if we could have got the win. I got to give him a huge plug.
Were you shocked that he got back up there with all the damage that he had on that truck? I mean, I know he's a veteran and a 3-time champ, but man, that truck was beat up.
It was beat up, and his position was push, right? Because it was so beat up. He couldn't lead. And I saw that as soon as I went over to block the outside lane and stall their momentum, and I left him to brace all the air by himself, I saw that his whole line immediately like started suffering. I was like, I got to get back down here and pull him back up on my bumper. I can't leave him hanging. So I went back down, and he got right back to my bumper again and started pushing. Yeah, he was in a position to push for sure, which sucks for him, but it was great for us that I had such great teammates, so selfless of him to do that, right? But at the same time, he was in a tough situation. He couldn't lead, so he was going to have to do something crazy to try to win. And luckily again, that he was behind me, and it just worked out like that.
And what a way to start things off. ThorSport switches to Toyota. You have a new crew chief, a new part-time teammate along the way, and now you're already virtually locked into the playoffs unless we have, 20-something different winners or something crazy like that, which has never happened, but I don't want to jinx you or anything.
No, I think we're sitting pretty right here, especially since they've, last year they updated the playoff field, so we have more contenders than before. So, no, I think we're sitting pretty. I think there's going to be a lot of winners this year. I think the competition these past couple of years has been absolutely insane. I mean, we had 10 trucks, was it, that went home at Daytona? I think we had 46 entries. So, yeah. I mean, the truck series is stout. It's where you want to be. I think it's the most entertaining form of racing right now, but I might be a little biased. But I love it. I absolutely love it.
So, you've had some big wins in your career. You've won at your home track at Kentucky. You've won at Darlington, but you said this was the biggest one of your career. And obviously, Speed Weeks at Daytona is the biggest part of our sport. But how long have you dreamed of this moment? Because I read somewhere that you used to play Daytona on video games back when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah, heck yeah. Who didn't, right? I mean, we're going around all these kart races. And, we'd be in the middle of Indiana or out in Arkansas or wherever racing karts. And we would, me and my other buddies that were all competitors with at that age, we're 10 years old, 9 years old. And we go into their trailer. We'd be playing this Daytona game against each other. Then we go out on track and race karts against each other. And it just brought back so many memories, right? Like so long ago, I've had this goal in my mind that I wanted to race at Daytona and I wanted to get a win there. And to know that, we did it. That was, I don't know. It's almost like validation too, right? Because there's been so many ups and downs in my career since I came out of K&N series, and now we've got a few wins in the truck series. I've got a really steady team behind me now, and it seems like things are going great. And it was a little bit of validation for the fact that, hey, I can win on super speedways now. Like we know how to get it done.
Yeah, the thing is, you could do everything right and still not get a super speedway win. Anybody who's been in racing will tell you that, and I'm sure you've known that yourself. But I'm curious about the way this thing has all unfolded for you now, because anybody who's been in racing knows this too. You have some high highs and some low lows. What have you learned about kind of keeping that even keel, and how will that help you going forward?
Yeah, so I think it really came to me about 2019, I started working with TJ Majors, and he was coaching me on how to kind of just become a better big picture driver, somebody that can see everything that's going on in the race and still see this whole season at the same time. And 2 years with him, and now I've got TJ Bell behind me coaching me, and I raced against him last year. He's a driver, right? So I've got some really good people behind me coaching me, and I didn't necessarily have that at first. And I'll tell you, it's made all the difference in my career. And I think a little bit of age too. I've gotten older and I've slowed down a little bit, just mentally, just trying to take everything in. And I feel like I've got just a better outlook on racing as a whole. And the experience helps a lot too, right? I've been in the trucks now for a while. And at this point, I feel like I know exactly what to expect when I go into each race, and I set goals for myself on each race. So I go in there and I tell myself exactly what I need to do. I need to be here on each stage, and I don't need to put pressure to be in this situation. And I've just kind of seen it now, and everything's kind of coming a little bit easier to me, I guess.
I'm glad you mentioned the big picture in the full season, because that's where I wanted to finish up with you. You got the Daytona Road Course coming up this weekend. You've got Knoxville, Watkins Glen, Nashville on the schedule. I mean, my gosh, after this weekend, you're off, of course, until March when you go to Las Vegas. But just give us an idea of what you're kind of thinking about in terms of the schedule, because it's pretty different from what we've seen in years past.
No, it's very different. I'll be honest. I'm going to level with you. I'm not a huge fan of Bristol on dirt. No, Bristol is just fine as a concrete racetrack. I don't need dirt on it to make me happy. That's for somebody else. It's not for me. I think honestly the schedule is the best that we've had in a long time. I like the changes. I love Coda. I love Watkins Glen. I haven't been to Coda, but I've been to Watkins Glen, and it's been in my top 5. It's been a favorite of mine since I was a kid. It's one of those tracks that I really want to win at too, kind of similar to Daytona. I think, my top 5 is Daytona, Darlington, Watkins Glen, Kentucky Speedway, and then Bristol, just because of the sword. so we got a cool schedule, man. I'm a big fan of it. I think NASCAR did a really good job.
A lot of guys have moonlighted and done some laps on the Daytona road course. How about you? Have you done any of that yet?
So we raced there last year and it was just absolute chaos and we didn't perform very well. I wasn't happy with the handling of the truck that we had at the time. I wasn't happy with how we were getting raced by some of the folks on the track. And we did our homework. I feel like now with my new crew chief, we've done some simulators testing. We've done a lot of stuff on the background. And I really feel like now we can go there and if it handles how I think it's going to handle, we'll be pretty good. I've done a lot of practicing on my side between iRacing and simulator and watching IMSA footage and just doing everything I can to try to get better without actually being in the race truck.
All right. Well, Ben, congratulations on a strong start to the season. Look forward to seeing you at Daytona this week. And I know you'll be chomping at the bit to get back at it when you've got that little lull before Vegas. Congrats and thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
That's Ben Rhodes. He drives the number 99 Toyota Tundras for ThorSport Racing. That's all the time we've got on this week's edition of MRN Out Loud. Make sure you're back with us. We drop a new episode each and every Thursday, wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. We want to make sure we thank Austin Cindric from Team Penske and Ben Rhodes from ThorSport Racing. And keep an eye on those guys this weekend. We expect both to make some noises on the Daytona road course. Thanks for joining us, everyone.